How come no one told me how amazing these Sharpie Creative bullet tip markers are? In other reviews of them, I've seen people didn't like the tip, but the reason they don't like it is exactly the reason I love them so much. I'm going to explain everything, but first, the backstory. You may have seen my review video for the new Sharpie Creative brush markers. Now that I also have the bullet tips, we can look at them together. You can see they're a little different. The brush marker, you have to shake it, and the bullet tip marker, you don't. And here's a funny little party trick. You can stand them on your desk. The truth is, I wasn't going to buy the bullet tip markers, and I'll explain what led me to doing so as I review them. And make sure you stick around because I'm going to show you what you can make with both the bullet tip and the brush tip markers together, and they're so amazing. I don't know if you know this, but I have the best subscribers, and I really trust your comments. I read each one, even if I'm slow to respond. In fact, the only reason I bought the new Sharpie Creative brush markers is because my Sharpie stained marker cap broke, and someone commented that the new Creative brush markers are similar. Well, testing them side by side, I found that those two markers aren't alike, but the Creative brush markers are like the Karen Pigment Deco brush markers. And that's exciting because Sharpie is easy to find in Target and Walmart and all over. That was the end of the story. No need to also have the bullet tip markers, right? Well, what happened was I was making this firework page, and the most opaque white I had was the Sharpie Creative brush markers. I was so pleasantly surprised and realized that what I was trying to do would be easier with the bullet tip, so I immediately ordered them. When they came, I was expecting to make a video comparing the brush tip I already reviewed and then just a regular bullet tip, but this bullet tip didn't need to be pushed to get the ink flowing, and I noticed it was a little soft. So as I was testing the thickness of the strokes, I was shocked to find that it was a little bit flexible, and I was like, wait, are these another hidden gem of pens that aren't brush pens that I love so much? What? How come nobody told me? Are you as shocked as I was? I'm assuming that means my subscribers haven't discovered it yet, which is exciting because I get to share the surprise with you. Like I said, there are these hidden gems of pens that aren't actually brush pens, but they are flexible, so you can get thick and thin strokes. So I'm talking about the Zig dot markers, Monami Plus Pen 3000, Staedtler Tri Plus highlighters, my Crayola markers, and I am very excited to add Sharpie Creative markers to the list. Because also they're the only gems here that are acrylic, which means they're opaque, so you can do different things with them. Okay, we got off track a little bit, but who else is going to nerd out with me about how cool these are if it's not you? Let's get back to the details of the bullet tip Sharpies. As I swatched these colors, it's easy to see that they are the same as the brush tip colors. It's also easy to see how opaque they are. And like I said, these are not brush pens. They're not supposed to be brush pens. They're bullet tip pens, but they're soft. So they're a little flexible. That's why I can get heavy pressure on the downstrokes and lift up for light pressure on the upstrokes. And after this discovery, I started searching through YouTube reviews to see if anyone else was loving these as much as I was. But no, once again, shocked. Most of the videos said they didn't love the bullet tip because it wasn't strong and it felt like it wouldn't last. Although Susie from How to Hand Letter did post a video about how these are like brush pens, so some people are starting to discover it. I will say I also don't know how long it will last. This kind of flexible felt tip does seem like it might get weak after some time. All pens will eventually fray, so if I can get several months use out of them and then they fray, I think that's pretty good. And they're not that expensive, so if I love them so much that I use them up, it's easy to just get them again. And it's definitely worth it to feel this excited about creating. I needed to test out how well the white marker would do on black paper. So I tested my Karen Pigment markers and my Sharpie Creative markers, and the winner was clear. It's the Sharpie bullet tip. I don't know how or why, it's just amazing. And this is not me comparing every color with Karen. Karen has a lot more colors than these. This is just the white on black. So between the bullet tip and the brush marker, the bullet tip is more opaque on black paper, but let's take a look at how both of them do on white paper. So on this journal, this is my Archer and Olive journal. Oh, and by the way, the black journal was also my Archer and Olive journal. On this one, I splattered a little bit of ink, as you can see on the bottom there and on the left page as well. And so I was hoping that these would cover up those spots, and I am noticing this is a dot grid journal. I'm noticing it is covering all of the dots, and sure enough, it covers the ink spot. Amazing. I love how I can make this background and it is so opaque. I will also say that I found it much easier to get the full background with the brush tips. The bullet tip is smaller, so it would take a lot longer to fill in the entire page like this. The bullet tip is not a fine tip, but it's not as big as the brush tip. So to get the full background, the brush tip is definitely what I would want. And unfortunately, I realized that I wasn't recording for the tape peel and for the star of the show, the hand lettering with the bullet tip markers, which means I had to do another page, and I was glad to do it. So here, once again, I'm filling in the full background. I like to make backgrounds with watercolor for my hand lettering. However, I have to use my watercolor journal, and sometimes I don't want to use my brush pens on my watercolor paper. And so I like that with this, I can use it directly in my Archer and Olive journal. It fills the background. I can get a really solid, opaque background. I can use my hand lettering on top. I especially like using the new bullet tip on top because it works really well. And I was just playing around with the stripes. I did waves on the other ones. I did straight ones on this one. I'm excited to try out more. And you can see it's not having a problem on both sides of the page. It doesn't bleed through. These are my Archer and Olive journals, which is really thick paper, but it does really well on both sides of the page. So now finally, using my bullet tip, you can see that it's not 100% opaque. In some places I did do a second layer to get it more opaque, and I didn't everywhere though because I do like how it looks. And you can see that it is so easy to get that brush pen look with just the bullet tip. It's amazing. Still, I am just like shocked and amazed and in so much love with these pens. And this time I did record the tape peel because, you know, this is the most satisfying part. I just love seeing those crisp, clean lines, and I always peel it at a 45-degree angle. I haven't had a problem with my white Archer and Olive journal, but in a little bit you're going to see I did it with my black Archer and Olive journal, and I did have a little problem, so I will show you that. Take a look at these two pages together. They turned out great. I can cover both sides of the page and they don't bleed through. I just really love how they turned out. So now I'm going to do it on my black Archer and Olive journal. And by the way, the left side of the page on this one I did with the Caron Real Brush, and that is a video that is coming soon, so subscribe so you don't miss it. The brand new Caron markers. It's a doozy of a video, so it's taken me a little bit of time. As you can see, these colors show up against the black, and I know all black paper would be different, so I don't know how they work on other black paper, but as for my black journal, this is what I would be using them in. It works really well. I did notice though that I want 2 or 3 layers, at least 2 layers to get it really opaque. But I was really surprised that even the dark colors like the blue and the purple do really well on the black paper. They show up really strongly on the black paper. That is rare. Another thing, usually with paint pens and you have to pump the nib, with these, since the ink is already flowing, I am really curious to see if that means the ink is going to last longer, because sometimes when I pump the nib on other paint pens, it like spurts out and it kind of explodes a little bit, and I feel like that's a waste of ink. And with these ones though, I wonder if the ink will just get stuck in it since you're not pumping it out. I don't know. I'm really curious. I don't know if you've had experience with this kind of thing. Let me know because I'm so curious. And now for the tape peel, you can see that it started ripping it. And this is the same tape that I used in the white journal. And so the only thing that's different here is that it's the black paper. So there's something different about this paper that is sticking to the washi tape. I have rarely had this issue, so I don't know what was wrong. Although It blends right in. You can't really tell. I'm just going to be okay with it. We'll see. Maybe I'll try some different washi tape in the future. And look at that final piece. It's amazing. It stands out so bright. The paper on the other side looks just great. The Karen markers on the left side is the metallic markers, so they're a little bit different. I just couldn't get enough of these markers, so I'm doing another page, this time just with the bullet tip markers. And as you can see, I didn't want to lay down as thick as with the brush pens. And so really what I discovered is that I want both sets. I want the brush tip and I want the bullet tip because they both have their uses and I want to use both of them. And just so you know, the page on the right side, I used my Pentel Matte Hop pens. Those are really great opaque gel pens. If you are interested in gel pens, I recently did a review video about those. If you have other pens you want me to review, please let me know. I listen to my comments. So as for right now, the Sharpie only has 12 colors of these, and I would like to say, please, Sharpie, make more colors. And also, these are usually the colors that I use, so I might be fine with just the 12. If they did make more though, I would buy them. In this flip through, you'll see some pages that I didn't record because I was just getting really excited about making them even after finishing this video. I truly believe that you can be creative with any supplies that you have in your house right now. But there are some supplies that just make you feel really excited about experimenting and creating, and that's what these are doing for me. That's a huge win. So if you can find some pens, even if you have to spend a little money to get them, find the pens that make you feel excited and want to create. If that happens to be the Sharpie Creative markers, let me know. Make sure you go watch my review on the brush marker video right here. I'll see you there.